Audi RS e-tron GT. We've had this car for about 6 months now. The reason we've kept it longer than usual is because I wanted to give you a proper analysis of what it's like to live with this car. So I've actually become pretty much an expert on this thing, having used it for so long. Without further ado, here is the good, the bad, and the ugly for the Audi RS e-tron GT. Normally I start with the good stuff, then work to the bad, and then the ugly. But I'm going to flip things around today and start with the ugly. The things that really annoy me. Because there's one thing that's at the forefront of my mind. I've been in a fight with this every single day, and it is the door handle. It's a menace. The way it's designed is that there's a slight gap at the back, and when you put the back of your hand up against it, and then pull it, that gap pinches the skin on your knuckle. That happens, like, I don't know, 5 times out of 10 when you get into this car, and it is really painful. If you look at my knuckle right there, that is an injury from driving this car. As far as I'm concerned, it's dangerous. I've lost many a fight to an RS e-tron GT. Don't like it. The other thing I don't like is that there's nowhere really to put your phone. There's a little gap down here, but it's not quite big enough for an iPhone 14 Plus. So when you go around the corner, that will just fly out. Then what you end up doing is putting your phone in the cup holder. But what happens if you've got cups in the cup holder? There's nowhere to put your phone. There is, to Audi's credit, a little gap in the center console down here for wirelessly charging your phone. But it's a faff to actually get your phone in there. It takes a bit of fiddling about, and once it's in there, it will charge your phone quite safely. But wireless charging is quite slow, nowhere near as fast as wired charging, and psychologically, I just don't like the idea of having my phone trapped away in the center console of a car. Let's talk about the range. That can be either good or bad, depending on whether you're a glass half empty or glass half full kind of person. If you've got a positive outlook, then you'll ask, what does Audi say this car can do in terms of range? And does the car deliver it? Audi says the car will do 280 miles or thereabouts, and the car will happily do it on a motorway doing 70 miles per hour. Or 60, doesn't seem to matter. It will achieve 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour all day long. The battery is an 83.7 kilowatt hour pack. If you do the math, that is around 276 miles. If you turn off the aircon and the heating, I'm pretty sure you can push that to 280 miles. So things are positive. But then you've got to ask yourself, what do the rivals do? The Tesla Model S, one of this car's rivals, will do 370 odd miles. 100 miles more, and that matters. Why? Because Audi says this is a GT, and GTs historically have been designed to go long distances. People have this kind of fantasy of these cars traveling from London to the south of France. And you're not really going to be doing that in 1 or 2 stops with a battery that only does 270 miles. On the upside though, let's face it, if a car does 280 miles like this one can, that works out to be 4 hours of solid driving on the motorway, which is pretty much at the upper limit of what most people are going to want to do anyway. And then, when you reach the end of that battery, the charging is quite quick, 270 kilowatts, so it can go from 25 miles to 200 miles in 25 minutes, which is very good. But then there's the downside, which is the cost of charging from a rapid charging station. On average, I've been seeing around 69p per kilowatt hour, which works out to be around 60 pounds to fill the battery. Ouch. And that brings us to another negative point, which is price, or rather, value, actually. If you wanted to buy this car brand new, then you're looking at a minimum of $118,000. But after 1 year of ownership, the value will have gone down quite substantially. That's not unique to Audis, or Audi electric vehicles, but rather electric vehicles in general at the moment. Why is that? Not going to get into it now, but I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Go to. Enter the reg number and the mileage, which in this case is about 6,000, and you'll see what the car is worth. I won't tell you because the value might change by the time you've actually watched this video. But what I will say is that you will lose a lot of cash if you're buying one of these brand new. On the flip side, however, if you're buying secondhand, then you can pick up an RS e-tron GT for silly money, really. £70,000 for one of these is not a lot of cash for what is, quite frankly, a lot of car. Sticking to the subject of negatives, we have to talk about this boot. This is a saloon, not a hatchback, and that means the boot is not very impressive. It's 350L, right? To compare that to its nearest petrol rival, the Audi RS7, that car has 535L, so much more than you get in here. And it's really not that usable on a day-to-day basis. But if you're persistent enough, and you struggle enough, and you're clever enough, you can actually get long objects inside here because those seats do fold flat. Let me demonstrate. By the way, got my helmet, but we moved that out the way. This is a lawnmower, and you wouldn't expect this to fit into a car with such little space. But actually, like I said, got grass everywhere. Like I said, if you're smart, then you can actually get reasonably long objects inside. Look at that. You've got space for another lawnmower inside the RS. Yeah, going to have to get the Hoover now. As for the back, as you can see, there's lots of room for long objects. The seats themselves are pretty good too, spacious enough for 2 adults, but at a push it'll hold 3 kids, even if the middle seat is a bit too narrow to sit in for more than a couple of hours. It's also got a front trunk, or a front boot, whatever you want to call it, which gives you an additional 85L or so. But I've never used it, and the reason is, it's a hassle to get into it. You've got to walk around to the driver door, find the button, which on the Audi isn't as bad as on some electric cars. But you press the button, it pops it, then you've got to go back to the front and do battle with the latch. But I'm an expert, so it's actually quite easy there. And then that gives you access to what is not a very large space, which makes you think, is there any point going through that hassle? Incidentally, this is where you do your maintenance on an electric car. Right here is a port for your wiper fluid, and up there is a port for your brake fluid. But pretty much done neither in my time with the car. But generally, I think car makers, especially EV car makers, need to do better with their front trunk design, because they've got to make it much more simple to get access to it. Porsche, credit to you guys. They actually do a kind of gesture system where you wave your hand across the front and it will pop the front open. But on most EVs, it's just not the case. Do better. In terms of technology, I've not been that impressed by what's in the RS e-tron GT. It's almost like Audi said, look, we'll give you the basics. We'll give you a decent stereo from Bang & Olufsen. And it's really good, by the way, very punchy. We'll give you a sat-nav that shows you where your nearest charger is, and also a bubble around the sat-nav to show you how far you can go. We'll give you a nice driver display. But apart from that, we're going to rely on wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And to be fair, that's the minimum you'd expect. But in future, I think I'd rather see Audi take a bit more leadership in the technology that they offer, because it's quite basic. I do like the fact it's got physical buttons for your heating, ventilation, and climate controls. That makes them very, very simple to use. They look and feel great as well. But there's one omission from that, and that is this car doesn't have an RS button to change your drive modes quickly. Instead, what they do is they give you a drive select button down here on the center console, and to access that, you've got to take your eye off the road, find the button, push it, then look at the screen, then change your mode, then look back. And the annoying thing with that is, you don't get full dynamism from the car unless you're in dynamic mode. So you do actually have to change modes quite a lot. If suddenly you want to overtake someone, then it's best to be in dynamic. And not having that in an instant access way on the steering wheel is ever so slightly annoying. Okay, let's talk about the good stuff, and there is plenty of that. One of my favorite good things about this car is that it's been rock solid. The quality is immense. Nothing has fallen off, nothing has broken, nothing has squeaked, nothing has rattled. It's like this car is hewn from a solid piece of granite. It's really well built. One of the things I really like is that the materials are all pretty much like they were when it rolled out of the factory. If you look at the center console, for example, this is glossy piano black, and I expected that to be scratched to oblivion. But 6 months on, it's absolutely pristine. Okay, I've been very careful with it. I've been trying not to put anything there at all. But you still expect scratches from piano black even after. I don't know, A couple of days of using some press cars with this kind of material. You'll see scratches in them. But after 6 months, that's been fine. Also, the leather in the seats, absolutely pristine. You'd expect a few kind of imperfections in the leather after sliding in and out of the seat repeatedly, but not a bit of it in this car. I love this red leather as well. The seats look fantastic, feel fantastic. And also, just in terms of the technology as well, in many modern cars, what you find is that the screens freeze and things need rebooting. You turn the car off and on again. It happens surprisingly often, believe it or not. But it hasn't happened a single time in this Audi. They've done a really good job when it comes to build quality. The steering wheel as well, you're touching this thing constantly, and after a while, a lot of steering wheels can look a bit, sort of, worse for wear. But this? Yeah, exactly the same as when it rolled off the factory. Really good. Here's quite a good idea. So this car has 2 charge ports, one on the left and one on the right, both at the front. And this one on my side here is for your normal AC charging, your home charging, up to 7 or 11 kilowatts. And on the other side is your ultra-rapid charging, up to 270 kilowatts DC. But what's great about it is that you drive forward into a space, and then you can plug your home charger into either side. Doesn't matter what side your charger is on. So it makes it a lot more convenient. And also, another thing I like is that this is entirely mechanical. On the Taycans, they pop open and they're motorized and they move back and forth. In the winter, they can freeze up and make it difficult to get inside there. But this is totally mechanical, and a lot easier to use. Well done, Audi. Another thing that's good about this car is the way it drives. And it doesn't matter where you are. Whether you're on a motorway or just cruising around town, it's supremely comfortable and quiet and lovely to sit in. I especially like it when you're maneuvering around town. It's got rear wheel steering, so the back wheels turn in the opposite direction to the front wheels, so you can knock off these tight, intricate turns in one motion, while other people are struggling doing 3-point turns, 5-point turns, and this has no struggle whatsoever. If you're pushing it, then it's also really good. I've taken it to racetracks and we've drifted it, and it's got really nice balance to it. This car will turn in so nicely, and then you tip it into a slide, the back end comes around, and it's very graceful. You can hold it in a drift for hours on end. It's a wonderful car. Do you know, I'll actually go a step further than that and say it's the best handling Audi that I've driven outside of an Audi R8. It is that good. It's that engaging. It's that much fun. And then there's the straight line speed, very rapid. It will knock off 0 to 62 in 3.2 all day long, repeatedly. And it's foolproof as well, no faffing around with launch control, it just does it. And funny story, we actually took this car to a track shoot where we filmed a bunch of McLaren hypercars, including the McLaren Senna. And the reason we did that was because this was the only car that could keep up with those hypercars. There's a scene when the McLaren Senna does a launch control, and the car in front of it is this car, with cameras bolted to it, with 3 camera operators inside, and it was pulling away from the Senna up to about 50 or 60 miles per hour. But it was pulling away. This is a lovely car to drive. Astonishingly good fun. Love it. Just a quick word on the warranty. The car itself has a 3-year warranty, but the battery is warranted for up to 8 years or 160,000 kilometers, or just under 100,000 miles, whichever comes first. If the energy density falls below 70% during that warranty period, Audi will repair it or replace it. But you might not get a battery replacement that has 100% capacity, just a battery that measures at least 70% of the starting value. Hopefully that doesn't mean that a battery in a 1-year-old car that suddenly fails is replaced by one that only has 71%. Finally, tires. EVs are quite heavy and do get criticism for wearing through their rubber, especially those cars with lots of torque, like this. But the Goodyear Eagle F1 tires on our e-tron are still fine, and that's despite lots of aggressive launches, and even a day of drifting at the track. Replacement rears will cost you around £350 each fitted. So that is it. Sad face. That is our time with the Audi RS e-tron GT. How do we sum it up? Well, I've got two questions. The first is it worth buying? And the second is it a proper GT? The answer to the first question, I'd say yes, it's definitely worth buying. It's fabulous to look at, it commands so much attention, it's brilliant to drive, stupidly fast, it's incredibly reliable. Nothing has gone wrong with this car in the time we've had it. So in that sense, I'd recommend it wholeheartedly. The answer to, is it a proper GT? Well, it's different. Let's say that. It's not the kind of car you're going to jump into and drive for 9 hours at a time down to the south of France. It's electric. You've got to stop and sip a coffee, smell the roses once in a while. But that aside, it's a brilliant package, this thing. I wholeheartedly recommend it. If you've got any more questions, let me know in the comments down below. But as for now, thank you, Audi. Thank you, RS e-tron GT. We salute you.